Hello, welcome to Cross Politics. The camera's on me and Natalie right now, okay? All right. This is Cross Politics. This is a midweek fix.
That's what you think.
We got Pastor Toby Chuck Knox. I'm the water boy. And we also got Chris and Natalie in the studio. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
They're actually, full disclosure, we just do this from the jump here. You know, they're corporate sponsors with us here in Moscow, and we love our corporate sponsors.
Look, you're wearing your uniform.
And I'm wearing their brand. This is called Brand Build. Darren Donut style.
Yeah.
Hold on, you say come on like you charismatic. Where you come? We'll talk about. I want to say come on. If somebody says come on, I'll be like, where we come from?
Glory, Shekinah glory.
Yeah, come on.
Don't forget, hey, this is the last week to sign up for Arizona. We're going to be in Arizona next Thursday.
Yes.
Live show with Delano Squires and
The
Jeff
professor.
Durbin.
Yes.
The professor. Is that
Yeah,
what they call him
he's
these days?
easily one of the smartest people, if not the smartest person on Fearless with Jason Whitlock.
Ooh,
So you have to seeing Delano live.
Man, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm just gonna bring my notepad and sit there and listen to him talk.
And one more thing, we're kind of warning you guys in advance. Starting May 30th, we're gonna do a show every day starting May 30th.
Wait, what?
We're part of this decision. You don't do that to me.
I'm just kidding. Yes, sometimes we talk about things.
So we're very excited to do a show every day. Be praying for us. It's gonna be a lot of work, but we're excited to start doing a show every day.
Like he says that in passing, like it's just this little thing.
May 30th.
May
Like,
30th.
Your life is about to change.
Yeah.
You're gonna get 3 times more Cross Politic every week, and you're gonna love it.
Do we get new music for the Daily Show?
Oh, there we go. Now I got
thought
it.
about
That's more work. That's more work for
Okay,
us.
I'll come up with some.
I'm
new
just
music.
thinking, like, if we're gonna go every day,
Like some breaking
Drop
news.
some ideas in the show in the comment section here about what kind of music we should drop.
as you can tell by what Knox and Gabe are wearing, this show is brought to you by Story Real Estate.
Ooh,
Yes.
it's about time we get some real estate in here.
They're going to be bringing a lot of shows, I think, to us, right? I mean, that's the plan. Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, stories are told.
Babies are baptized.
That's you hear that,
That's a
Gary?
church.
You hear that, Gary? Home is where you prepare to go out into the world. Finding the home that's perfect for your family is a big job. Story Real Estate is Moscow's top real estate team. They give people real estate advice all over the country. Family homes, investments, land, new construction, or commercial, they know real estate. How am I doing so far?
Awesome.
Is that all right? Okay.
Awesome.
He approves.
If you've thought about a move to Moscow or anywhere in the country, reach out to get connected. Anywhere in the country, reach out to get connected with Story Real Estate Agent. Wherever you're going, they can help guide you home. Visit storyrealestate.com. And by the way, Story Real Estate is hiring.
Incredible.
How many jobs did you say that you were hiring for?
Our goal is 30 jobs in 3 years.
30?
30 jobs.
So like, I mean, what
That's
is
10 a year, Gabe.
That's but my problem is not the math. My problem is 30 more agents in Moscow.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we might talk about this, but we run a team. So not every role on our team is the agent role.
Okay.
So out of those, maybe 20 of them will be agents, but we run a fairly large support staff. So we got marketers, we got video editors, we got transaction coordinators, we got administrative staff. So there's a lot of positions. But one of the things we love about that is, not everybody's gifts and talents align with the agent role.
Yeah.
So being able to open it up other opportunities.
Yeah, sounds like where
That's
I would
really
play into some one of those other areas.
I think you'd be the salesman.
Yeah.
I like these mugs.
Yeah.
Move to Moscow.
Move to Moscow.
Story Real Estate. I love that. So this is Chris. Chris was born and raised in sunny Santa Cruz, California. He graduated from UCLA with a BA in business economics.
Were you there with Ben Shapiro?
I wasn't.
No.
I wasn't.
After moving to Moscow and working in finance for 2 years, he decided to join Natalie in the real estate industry. Well, you guys were already married when you moved here?
Yep.
Is that right?
2 weeks married.
Whoa! Yes. Chris brings his love of negotiating, analytical way of thinking, and entrepreneurial spirit to the team. He's already quickly becoming one of the top agents in town. How long has the story been going?
2018 we got started.
Okay, yeah. So just
years.
going into, was that 4 or 5 years now?
Yep, yep.
Okay. Chris brings edge and innovation to his clients. He studies real estate trends and technology to make sure he's always pioneering with the newest tools that our industry has to offer. He's licensed in both Idaho and Washington as one of the owners of Story Real Estate, as well as the broker and listing specialist. His lovely wife, Natalie, grew up in Dallas, Texas.
Promised Land.
All right.
That's
You going to play her any music? No music?
No.
No, we're not doing music. Okay.
Come on.
Graduated also from UCLA with 2 bachelor's degrees. Whoa, 2. 2,
She beat me.
communicational studies and world arts and cultures and dance.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Wow. At the same time? Did you got those degrees at the same time?
Yes. Yeah.
She worked in marketing for Sony Pictures Entertainment and other premier marketing and events companies. Upon moving to Moscow, she began to work in real estate and fell in love with the industry. Natalie's expertise in marketing, design, and photography has set her apart as the top agent to beautifully present your home and help guide you in staging and market preparations. Natalie's favorite part of the transaction is helping with all the details and making the experience simple and easy for her clients. Natalie is one of the owners of Story Real Estate as well as realtor and associate broker. Both Chris and Natalie are licensed in the state of Idaho. Chris is also licensed in Washington. I think it already
That
said
would just
that.
repeat.
But-
Garrison!
but
did you, Garrison?
But did you hear their license in Idaho and Washington? Also, I was going to point this out. It was talking about how Natalie helps stage homes. So Story Real Estate sold our home.
Ah,
just
interesting.
just a few years ago.
That was an ugly home.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
Come on now.
They've done great work to it. Prime location.
Hey, Chris,
When
dig
they
me
bought
out of
it.
that hole,
When
brother.
they bought
Come
it.
on.
But what I was going to say was that she came in and totally staged our home.
See, I was trying to set
Made
her
it
up.
look
Yeah.
amazing. And then on top of it, she brought these really cool, cute little white chairs in to set up our little dining room to make it look all like cute and everything like way better than we had it apparently. No, I'm just kidding. But afterwards, we were like, "Oh, do you want your chairs back?" And she said, "No, you can just keep them." And she gave us
That's
six
funny.
little white chairs,
That's
and
awesome.
I'm like, too bad for all the rest of you people.
I'm just
We
thinking,
got the white chairs.
I'm just thinking about how many times Gabe came over your house and like, ooh, this is ugly.
What is Jenny doing?
Oh my goodness.
When
Like,
are you going to sell this place? Have you called Chris yet? They sold it for us before it was even listed.
Oh, wow.
oh wow,
by the
praise
way.
God.
So, and this was even before really crazy times hit.
It was.
I mean, it was
It
like
was.
pre-crazy. And so we're so grateful. And so thanks for coming on Cross Politics.
Yeah, you
thanks
guys.
For,
Thank you.
thanks for being corporate sponsors and supporting. I don't know, maybe after this you'll regret.
Depends on what else Gabe says next.
Is it just on me?
What are you going to say about their house, huh?
don't
No. So this is a question for both of you, but you end up in Moscow, Idaho. I mean, how do you end up here? And then walk us into how did you end up in real estate?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun question. For us, it very much so, I mean, it was the Lord. It was his sovereignty. For us at the time, it probably looked like happenstance. So I grew up in, like you said, in Santa Cruz, California, went to school in Los Angeles. Natalie and I met through Campus Crusade while going to UCLA.
Yeah.
So then the Lord had really changed my heart throughout going to college. I thought from my freshman, sophomore year that he was calling me into the ministry.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about going to seminary after college, and throughout college, through Chase Fluhart, if you guys know that guy,
Oh,
he's a
yeah.
total stud.
Yeah.
But my theology had been becoming more reformed.
Yeah.
I grew up in evangelical churches all my life, but after going on when coming back, after going on a summer project, a missions trip after my junior year, I ended up coming back to Santa Cruz, and I just Googled Reformed Church in Santa Cruz.
Oh.
And I came across a CREC church, went there, met Bill Garraway,
Yeah.
and started.
All good stories
Come on.
somehow intersect with Bill Garraway.
That's true.
Started getting coffee with Bill Garraway, and Natalie and I were beginning to kind of court at the time. So he was giving me Reformed Marriage, Her Hand in Marriage, all the Wilson books.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking about going to seminary, and he was like, "Oh, you got to check out Greyfriars in
Yes.
Moscow, Idaho." I was like, "What? Where?" Greyfriars. And but we got engaged our senior year, and then spring break our senior year, we came out, we visited the program.
Was that when?
Yes,
Is that when I
drove
met
us
you guys?
around. You
we
were working.
hopped in the truck with
The
Gabe
K5
and-
Blazer.
Yes.
They got on the K5 Blazer. I took you guys around town.
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
Like,
hilarious.
Come
Yeah.
on in, we'll show you around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Steering us
Yeah.
around.
Wasn't that K5 Blazer ugly?
Oh! Man, you really want to hurt my feelings. You go after my Blazer. Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I mean, Gabe was one of our first experiences in Moscow.
And you still
And we
came.
still
Okay.
I stayed-
It was a positive.
Yeah, I stayed with the Merkles, so that was
Oh, yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
definitely
Okay.
yeah, seeing their hospitality and the kind of community that is nurtured here was a big
Yeah.
influencer for us.
Yeah.
Cool.
And did you initially start at Greyfriars?
Started at
Didn't you?
Greyfriars,
'Cause
yep.
you're one of my students,
Yep,
right? Okay.
yep.
I thought so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
that was-
everybody here knows everybody here. Huh?
Yeah.
All right. Just making sure I understand the story.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool.
So that was back in 2014, but that year was a whirlwind of a year for us. So we graduated from college. 2 weeks later, we got married. 2 weeks later, we moved to Moscow. I started Greyfriars. I started working at Canon Press, and it was just this like whirlwind.
2014. When did you guys move here in 2014?
Like June.
I think we were
June,
similar.
July.
I
Wow.
remember seeing you guys moving
yeah,
here.
we got here the same time, the same year.
That's
Interesting.
wild.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I absolutely love the program. The Greyfriars program is absolutely amazing. But it was interesting because I almost felt like it was like it says, I think in Deuteronomy 24, like a first year husband going off to war. And you know, that's kind of what it felt like, because I was very busy. You know, I was working all day, and then I was coming home and doing 4 hours of Hebrew homework, and you know, I wasn't classically educated. So when I ended up withdrawing after the first year, and I worked at MZ, and that's when Natalie got into real estate. Okay. And you know, MZ's it was a great company, but my job, I was a financial analyst. I was just in cubicle Excel documents all day. Natalie's out showing houses, meeting new people, and I was like, oh man, that looks like fun. So I jumped ship into real estate with her, and we worked at that company for about a year and a half, and then we opened our own company in 2018.
And so it looked fun. But is that all you saw in it, or was there more to it than that?
Definitely more to it than that. So, you know, I love people. I love entrepreneurship. I'm very interested in growing businesses and multiplying the talents that the Lord has given me. And I think, if anything, the more I've reflected and grown in it, I think that the talents that the Lord has really been putting in my life are people.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the more that I can multiply my effects on the people in my world, the more I'm honoring and glorifying the Lord. So.
Okay, so there's this one thing that's bothering me in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Great.
Is Natalie, how did you go from Texas to California? All right? Like, that's bugging me right now.
Yeah.
Didn't you go from Texas to California?
Nope.
Oregon.
I went from Texas to
you go?
Oregon to California.
Oregon, the California.
Completely different.
And anything is an upgrade from Eugene, Oregon.
Sorry to interrupt, Natalie.
No, so it was for dance. I either wanted to be in LA or New York for dance, and I wasn't a believer at the time, and the Lord used the dance industry in LA to actually bring me to Him, which was an amazing thing. So,
Wow.
What kind of dance?
Contemporary, modern, ballet, tap jazz,
Okay.
hip hop, pretty much.
Oh, you were doing everything,
Yep.
like dance, all of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I went to college and I played basketball and I learned how to dance too.
No, you didn't.
Hip hop, I mean, you go to the club, you know.
So you're jumping into
Misspent youth, all right?
I'm not paying attention to half of what you're saying.
Keep
right
going.
now.
Keep going, Alex.
So
Quick.
you guys
Quick.
jump into the real estate business. One of the things I noticed really quick in Moscow, it's a small place. So if something's kind of already got a corner in the market, why do something else?
Right.
So
right.
obviously you guys are looking at the industry saying, oh, there's an opportunity to do something different that even though there's an industry already exists here, there's something. What did you guys see? What was it that you guys saw ultimately that was like, hey, here goes an area that people aren't being served in?
Yeah.
What was that?
100%. I think what we saw was that there was a gap. You know, in Moscow, there's about 100 real estate agents. There's 150 residential homes 250 residential homes that'll be sold in Moscow, and we do Latah County.
Is that a really high ratio? Or is that normal?
It's a lot of agents.
Okay.
And given you go up to Coeur d'Alene, there's more agents up there, but there's more homes.
But
being
there's
sold,
more
higher
homes and more
prices,
people,
everything.
Right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. But from what we saw is that real estate had been being done the same way for a long time without a lot of change. So the expectation, I list your house, I come in, I take some iPhone photos, I stick a sign in the yard, my job's done.
Right.
You know,
Put on the MLS.
put it on the MLS,
Done.
kick my feet up. Well, we wanted to come in and do more. You know, coming from outside markets, you know, coming from California and Texas, we kind of had eyes and ears in those different places in regards to what people are doing. And why can't we bring that to small town Moscow? So when we got in the business, we tried to mix things up and do things differently. So we'd hold mega open houses where we'd put out 50 to 80 directional signs all across town. I'd lead people from every corner of town to my open house. we started doing drone videos and professional photography on all these different things, try and raise the standard of what people expected. And it's been great. I think people have been responding well to it. And we've got good response from it.
I think you were, you kind of pioneered kind of the social media marketing side of it. And it's kind of all the brokers in town now either have a social media specialist or something because of what you started when you guys got in the game.
The videos have been like, I remember when you first started doing the videos, like I don't think anybody had seen anything like that in Moscow. I think it was usually you, but sometimes it was both of you.
Yep.
And it's sort of like just home style iPhone, but like,
hey guys, this is Chris Carpenter. He's like,
no, it turned into a reality show.
No, like,
that's what it was.
Like this is this amazing house. You got to see it. There's an open house on Monday. And like, did you do like giveaways? And like,
I was like, I owned a house and I wasn't even interested in buying it. I wanted to stop by.
The first 50 people in the house, we're gonna give you a balloon and a chocolate cake and.
Like, babe, I'm gonna be home late. I gotta go see this house. I'll come home with cake.
She's like, don't buy another one.
So, but that's really interesting because all of a sudden now I'm thinking to myself, where will they end up next? I'm starting. You guys become a person giving me a tour of a town and a place in the city and then a place to live there, and so I'm seeing a lot more of than just a house. I'm seeing a culture.
Yeah.
Right, and that was really interesting, and unique. So I know we're gonna talk about all kinds of stuff, but I really want to talk. So there's a lot of things in my head right now with the market and the way things are. Everybody's market after. Is it fair to say after the election or after 2020? Which one was it? Was it the election or was it 2020? Was it the convergence of both of those? But everything changed.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Was it an election that you guys saw, or you think it was?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of the two.
Okay.
It was just like a perfect storm, and prices have just been skyrocketing since then. Rates were at an all-time low. So they've just been going up, and it's been it's interesting to forecast what's coming down the road, because I was looking at the numbers before coming out here, and in Moscow we'd seen, I think 2018 and 2019 it was 5% appreciation, and then 19 to 20 it was 9% appreciation, just under 10. Last year was 19% appreciation in Moscow. So we went from my first year in real estate 5 years ago, our average sale price was like $215,000. This year to date, it's $437,000. Average sale price.
Wow.
Median single family home in Moscow.
So wait, did they big builder? Did they build bigger houses, or what did?
It's the same home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's part of the problem in Moscow, and I think it will start to get fixed, but limited supply. We don't have the big builders that you might have in Post Falls or Spokane, Boise, that sort of thing.
Right.
So we have, in the past, and we're getting more builders, but we've had 25 new construction homes coming to the market every year.
Wow.
Just really limited. So we're kind of stuck with what's already built. And as more and more people rush to Idaho and Moscow, that's driving prices up.
So here's my question then. Is buying, because I think before Trump, some people were even questioning whether or not buying a house was a good investment anymore, right?
Sure.
They're just taking a risk in the market. Do I rent and stack my money? Those kind of questions were kind of, after Trump, people were like, buying a house might not be a bad thing,
In a conservative state.
But everything is shifting now. Is buying a house in Moscow a good investment?
Yeah, I think buying a house in Moscow is a great investment. We don't know exactly what's coming down the pipe when it comes to the economy. There might be a recession around the corner. An interesting thing is that looking back at 2008, the recession there was tied to the real estate market, right? So I think it's easy looking back at our last recession to tie in our mind recession, real estate crash. But actually looking back at the more recessions than just the last one, real estate generally appreciates through a recession. So though the economy may be going down, real estate prices are still going up. In addition to that, Moscow is a very insulated market. We have a lot of big employers like SCL, the university, Gritman, that make our prices not fluctuate so much like
creates
Phoenix.
a little bubble.
Exactly. So I'd say that real estate in Moscow is a super stable investment.
Well, and to add to that, the reason why in 2008 it was connected to the housing market was because people were getting loans they should have never gotten in the first place.
Right.
And so if you're buying something you can't afford, and the market tanks, well, that's a problem. But if you're buying something you can afford, and the market tanks, there's no problem there.
So I got a question.
Okay, I got a bunch. Go ahead. I'll give you some time.
I was going to turn. I want to go somewhere else.
Oh, okay. I'm not done yet, but go ahead. We'll come back.
We'll come back. That's right. Yeah. Natalie, you're a wife and a mom, and you are part owner of this business, and you're an agent. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about, so your most important job is supporting this man, raising 2 little boys. How's that going, and being involved in this business?
Yes. Well, we've had an evolution of what the businesses look like over the years.
Sure.
Chris and I were first working together every day in and day out, working long hours, just getting the business off the ground, which was so fun to do that together. And then I became more of his transaction coordinator. I was doing the admin work, moved into a little more marketing. Then we hired a transaction coordinator, hired a marketer. I had our first son, Benny, and for a while he was with us a lot at the office, and he still loves the office. He loves going downtown.
How many houses has he sold?
16.
Probably a lot.
Yeah, everyone after he was born.
They were using Benny to stage. They just walk out of the house.
The baby room.
Yes. One of my favorite stories was we were at the park and he happened to have a business card in his pocket and he just handed it to a little girl and she ran away. And I was like, well, that's going to end up at her house in a picture. And she's like, how did this happen?
You're like, hey, baby. Go hand out these cards to all your friends.
With candy taped on the back.
But I love that he loves office and he loves to go in and see what dad does and he asks him about houses all the time. So it's sweet.
Fun.
But during the day I'm home with the boys and I love being there with them. And then in the evening we're working on recruiting and team culture and some of the events. But we have a great staff that has taken off a lot of the load. So we're able to balance that well. And I get to do some of these fun things with Chris like this, but for the most part I'm with the boys and then get to I love that I know what's going on in Chris's world, so he can come back and download it, and we can brainstorm together.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. The other question I have is, and this is for both of you, is the name Story. Yeah. Where did that come from, and why Story?
Yeah, we love that question. The name Story came from, we believe that our job's all about our clients' stories. And being in real estate before we opened the company, we found, and I didn't know this getting into the business, but we found that a real estate transaction often happens at a big life transition point for someone. And sometimes it can be a joyful one. It can be, a new marriage or a new baby or moving to a new town. But sometimes it's a tragic one. It's like a death or a divorce or something like that.
Right.
And we consider it an honor to get to enter into someone's story in that potentially fragile or tumultuous time and guide them through that process. Yeah. So that's where it came from.
And so you guys have heard some amazing stories then.
We have. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it. It's funny now. I'm thinking like, man, real estate agent is almost like your family doctor now. It's like, let me talk to my real estate agent first.
Doctor, counselor, marriage counselor.
I got this rash. Never mind.
So one of the things that when Pastor Toby was reading you guys' bio, you guys don't only do real estate here in Moscow, you guys do it around the country.
Well, we have a network and connections around the country. So let's say someone...
so you aren't licensed in Texas or whatever,
we're not
but
licensed
you have a
in
network.
Texas yet. Okay. Yeah.
Yet?
Yeah, come on.
Ooh, come on.
Calm it down.
Yeah. So we have a network. So let's say someone saw us and they say, hey, I like what they're all about. I like their ethics. I like their vision, but I'm in Texas. They can reach out to us still, and we can reach out to our network and get them connected with someone who's like-minded, who's similar, who can serve them in a similar way. So we wouldn't be the ones doing it, but we can connect them with the right people.
That's so important in this market, especially with a complicated market, with rising rates, with analyzing what's the best decision for your family. Having an agent that is full-time, is in the market every day, they're an educator, they help you understand your options versus just the first person that pops up on Zillow when you call and click in. You need someone that is recommended by people that you trust in order to make sure you have the confidence in them to do the job well.
Yeah.
So I have a challenge here. I have another problem. I mean, one of the things that has always bothered me about the real estate agent world was that they had the MLS.
Yeah.
And the MLS kind of was a control mechanism for homeowners. Yep. And if they wanted to sell their house, they were kind of stuck, not totally, but kind of stuck. Where it's like, well, I kind of have to work with you guys.
Yep.
And so I never liked. It's not that I don't like working with a real estate agent, you guys and other friends in town. but I didn't like being almost kind of forced.
Yeah.
Does that my question kind of make sense there?
Totally. And
Help me out.
Yeah, and it's a good one. And that used to be the value proposition of the real estate agent.
Yeah.
I hold the keys to the MLS.
Right.
But it's really not anymore, because there's places like Zillow, like you can put your house on Zillow, and everybody's looking on Zillow before they go, on our website or anyone else's website. So you can put your for sale by owner house on Zillow, or you can sign up with a discount brokerage and they can put it on the MLS for $500 or whatever it is. So there's avenues. The value of the real estate agent is no longer just the MLS. So
That's helpful.
Yeah, your real estate agent and to say, if the value that your real estate agent is only offering you the MLS, you should probably go find a different one. But
you can say from your chest. It's
He's trying to cover that one up.
Can you edit? But the value of your real estate agent, they should be like Natalie was saying, they should be an advocate. They should be an educator. They should negotiate on your behalf. They should market your home well. The question right now in our current market is not, is my home going to sell? Right? It's a seller's market. Homes are selling like crazy. You can stick a sign in the yard and it's going to sell. The question is, what is it going to sell for? And are you going to maximize the price if that's your goal? So, like for an example, we listed a house last week. Listed at $385,000, pushed out a high exposure marketing strategy, got tons of showings, multiple offers. We got it bid up to $435,000, $50,000 above our list price. Right. Sellers stoked about it. They could have sold it on their own, but the question is, are they doing what's best for them?
Yeah.
So, sorry.
No, it's right. It's your turn. It's your turn.
I want to take this into, you guys have seen the market in different phases. You guys have seen it before the 2020 excitement crazy phase, and then afterwards. And so you guys are seeing people move for different reasons. So I kind of have a two-part question. You have to wait this one out a little bit past. One of it is like, what were people moving for before the market? Why and what are they moving for now? And once, right now the market. And do you think, and then I want to talk about places that you think are really strategic to live.
That's three questions.
I know.
I'm going to keep going here.
Put a fourth one in there. Come on, get it out. Squeeze it out.
Okay. But so, I want to just talk about like what were people moving for before the market? What are they moving for afterwards? And then what would you mark out as being, hey, listen, if you want somewhere to kind of align with your worldview, we already know Moscow is a hub, right? Where else would you say these are strategic places across the country that you might find more of your world? Because right now with Roe v. Wade, the whole situation with Roe v. Wade, people are making decisions left and right where they want to live at now based on the institutions around them and what they're going to force them to do. So the whole market is having this double flux from 2020 to 2022. Everything's about to go up in the air.
Yeah.
You can start first with the market before and after, and then where do you think strategic places are to be?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, pre-2020, people were making moves for all the basic things. They were making moves for jobs, to be close to family. Those are kind of the basics. But then post-2020, it was interesting because we saw a huge flux of people making moves to conservative states, out of the cities, that sort of thing. And with when COVID, showed people that remote work is a lot more possible, and often people never went back to their companies. They just said, where do I want to live, right? So if they can have their remote job wherever they want, often they're just
why don't I move to a small town
where it's
cool instead of Seattle or San Francisco or something like that?
So they're kind of looking at landscape at that point then, kind of like, oh, this is, and then where does my money go the furthest set? Is that part of it?
Yeah, I mean, they're able to take their Seattle or Silicon Valley salary to Coeur d'Alene or Moscow, Idaho. They're doing pretty well.
And they're paying cash for houses here.
Yep, right. I mean, they sell their little 2-bedroom, 1-bath in Seattle and buy whatever they want.
For $700,000 and come out here and
it's
buy
1.5.
Yeah, whatever it was.
In Seattle is 1.5.
The one thing that's glorious about the South, now it's changing, but you used to be able to buy like a $300,000 house in Dallas with a pool. Awesome. Brick,
big
everything.
Brick
big brick house.
Like,
you come out here and you
yeah.
get like this vinyl siding house for $330,000 with no pool.
Yeah.
But this is the South.
But you don't have to wear a mask. So.
I remember going. It's true. It's true. No, we didn't have to do it. I remember visiting my buddy in Houston. Man, his house he bought for about the same amount I bought my house, and visit him in Houston, and he had like a built-in barbecue, a pool, and then a hot tub, and it was all like salt ran.
Came with a servant too, huh?
Came with 40 acres and a mule.
Belvedere, wow.
But it's just the difference between the market in the Northwest and what was going on in the South was just incredible. And a lot of our Southern friends still are kind of blown away by what the market's doing up here in the Northwest. But no question there, just I would like a pool.
Yeah. Now, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, well, I think people talk a lot about, the California, Oregon, Washington move over to Idaho, how that feels easy for them with a cash offer, that kind of thing. But the other dynamic is we're seeing people intentionally make the decision to have a higher housing payment. I was just talking to one of our buyer's agents whose family moved here a year ago with their 8 kids, he being one of them, and now he works for Story. But he was saying his family, their housing payment was $800 a month, and moving here, the thing that they could afford that would fit 8 kids in the 3-bedroom, they just had to really adjust their expectation.
Yeah.
Right.
And their payment is $2,400.
Yeah.
But they were like, the value of being in a community where kids are fostered and loved in the way that we want to grow them up.
Right.
And we're trading those things for a higher payment. Obviously, you have to make sure that's still within
your reach, budget. Yeah.
But seeing there's a whole flux of people, I think, from post-COVID that decided that's a higher priority for us.
This community.
We're
paying, this mortgage payment represents not only my house, but the community and the friendships and the church and all that.
Generations.
I was going to say, there's an investment there.
You're investing in your kids and your grandkids, and that's huge. I wanted to ask you guys about...
I still had another question ahead, Nancy.
What?
Yeah, I was talking about what's the next strategic place outside of Moscow.
Right, I thought Texas was the answer. I don't know.
No, well, I want to know, because you guys can actually help people, and you're going to have to be connected with other agents.
Answer that first.
And not everybody can move to Moscow. Nobody wants just the Palouse. They actually want to have a mall. Who
wants a mall?
And a place to shop, and they want to be around, actual services that they can get.
And some people
and internet. All right?
We've got.
I'm just saying.
Some people want pools.
Some people want pools. But there's other people who are fighting the same way. So, but what are the
other hot spots?
Yeah, other hot spots that you guys would say, here's where your money is, where all the points meet. Here's some other spots.
I think college towns are great opportunities. That's what we love about this area. And then, we were also really interested in San Luis Obispo, just places where there's students, especially for us thinking about creating jobs for people, building up, being able to influence the culture. We've had a lot of post-college students come into our company and being able to mentor them and grow them up in the faith. We've been thankful to have a lot of Christian and business mentors that have influenced us, and we want to do the same. So I think if you're entrepreneurial, ambitious, and you want to make an impact, going somewhere where you can start a business, you'll be sanctified and you'll learn a lot. But I think college towns are
that lines up with Jim Wilson's strategy. So Jim Wilson's Doug Wilson's father, and he wrote this little booklet called Principles of War.
A good book.
Applying the principles of war to evangelism, strategic evangelism, and church planting, and so on. And that's why he moved to Pullman, because there were 2 college towns right next to each other, and saw those as particularly strategic points that were both the principles of warfare draw off the idea of something that's feasible and strategic, and that is a decisive point. Yeah. So you could move to a tiny little town with 3 people in it in the middle of Wyoming or South Dakota, and it's very feasible. You could take the city for Christ in 3 weeks or less, but it's not strategic in the sense it wouldn't have a huge impact. But the thought was small college towns are places where it's small enough to be feasible, but because of the international sort of influx of people coming, it's strategic. And therefore a decisive point. And there were 2 here, but I think it lines up with that idea, is making there's a bigger bang for your work as a Christian in whatever field you're in, but you can make an impact where students frequently are in this massive transition point in their life, and they're about to form families, raise kids, start jobs and careers and so on, and that's a place where many people come to the Lord.
What about Tennessee? It's blowing up. It's like 136 people moving there a day. Oh, you're laughing. You must already know it.
We just actually went to a agent conference in Tennessee just 2 weeks ago now, and it was amazing how quickly Nashville is growing. That whole area is it's beautiful.
We got friends in Huntsville, Alabama too, that have a church, and I think it's a college town in Huntsville, northern Alabama, and there's a CREC church there that's blowing up, and a school going and stuff like that. So I think that's another place.
I know that some people out there in Birmingham So they're doing the same thing out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just wondering what you guys are seeing.
You got any more questions?
Oh, you can. They gave me one place.
I wanted to ask about cancel culture and like all the wokeness going on. So I don't know how it affects real estate agents and companies and so on. And I don't know what that looks like. I think I heard about some real estate agent not too long ago that got in trouble with his company because he said something on social media about homosexuality.
He was in Montana. He was a pastor.
Yeah, said homosexuality was a sin
agent
or something like that. And got in trouble with his company.
It's not with his company. It's with the National Real Estate Association.
Okay. Anyways, I'm just curious what you guys are seeing in that whole world. Like, how is that whole, there's like, it seems like a lot of industries lines are being drawn and like, and it's like, Levi's is going to like fund people's abortions now. Wow. And like, there's sort of these woke companies, and then there's, Red Balloon, our friends at Red Balloon, and and then other assorted companies who are saying like, look, we just want to do good work, excellent work. Maybe we're Christians, maybe we're just conservatives who believe that people should be free to do what they want. What are you guys seeing in your world? And is it? I mean, have there been any dicey situations for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, when I got into real estate, I sat down with Pastor Wilson and kind of asked him about it. I was like, what, I'm going to come across people with different beliefs than me, and can I help them buy a house? Can I help, what? And essentially what he said was, and hopefully he doesn't mind, I paraphrase, hopefully I get it right. But I can serve someone, and I don't have the responsibility or the ownership over what they do with what I help them purchase. If I was selling shoes and they bought my shoes and then went and ran down the street and
robbed a store.
I'm not responsible for that. But then there's the question of glorification, right? There's the cake baker and the photographer, and a lot of what we do in real estate is glorifying our clients and telling their stories and that sort of thing. And so the advice that he gave to me is, well, you shouldn't be glorifying it. Sin.
Glorifying sin, right?
Yeah, you shouldn't glorify sin, but that doesn't have to hold you back from serving them. So one of the things that we, a goal that we have in kind of our name and our mission is to have a positive impact on the people that we serve. So if we can share the gospel with them through a real estate transaction, we're excited to do that. So Natalie and I were talking about this, 25 to 30% of our clientele is Christians. The other 70-80% is non-Christians, community members. And a neat thing about being in real estate is we have an excuse or an opportunity to be in the lives of so many people that we would never otherwise have an excuse to be involved with. Yeah. So that's been really neat. I mean, to touch on your point about crackdowns or the pastor who I think NAR cracked down on, we haven't gotten much of that. Yeah. I should probably follow it more than I do. But we've been given a fair level of autonomy, and maybe it's that we're flying under the radar in a small market. Right. But we haven't seen too much.
No, I was just curious.
I got last question here. You mentioned at the very beginning of the show, there's over 100 agents here in town. That's just probably ripe for like cat fighting, kind of thing. Drama,
turf wars,
all that stuff.
Elbow throwing.
Yeah. How do you guys kind of sort through that?
Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, the real estate industry, I think it almost cultivates that type of backbiting and gossip. Sure. And I think a reason for that is 1 minute we're competing. You and I are competing for a listing, and then you win it, and then I bring you a buyer the next day. Now we're collaborating in a way. So there's this back and forth, and in a small town with 100 agents, everybody, and it can be a disaster. Well, in starting our own company, I just have a no gossip policy, so I hold a very high standard for our agents. We don't talk bad about anyone. I just have zero standard for it. So, or zero tolerance for it.
Zero standards.
Zero standards at all.
I have no standards.
You have no standards, no problem. No standards.
Wait. We're going to have to talk about this.
Do you want us as a corporate sponsor?
Zero standards.
Yeah, that's right.
Story real estate.
No, that's great. I think that's
Yeah, that's really good.
And I think it's something too that, not only are there 100 agents, but there's a number of other brothers and sisters who are agents in town, and then at other churches, and then even at our own church.
Yeah.
And so, and I think this is one of the glorious things that God's given us in this community. There's tons of business growing in this community, and of course, you have a lot of business, and you're going to have people that make mistakes, sin, whatever, bump into each other.
Yeah.
And the question, and I think it's a glorious opportunity to grow up, to grow up in Christ, to have thick skin, love one another, assume the best about one another, recognize that sometimes we're going to see things differently, and you still got to come to the Lord's table on Sunday and be in fellowship. And if you're not, you better go make that right.
That's right.
Right now. Yeah. And I think that's going to make it's going to make or break a community. Yeah. And I think right now it's really a huge blessing, and I appreciate how you guys are helping with that.
Yeah,
I love that.
And but I think that's we got to figure that out. We got to figure out how to be Christians, how to forgive, how to deal with problems.
Yeah.
Because as God blesses a community, there's going to be business growth.
Right.
And when there's business growth, there's going to be competition
and business sins.
And business sins that come with
gets to work.
Yeah.
Okay, here's how I want to end. I want to end with you guys. There's people who are listening who are on the fence, contemplating the move one way or another. They're on the other side of the country. I want you guys to pitch them to Moscow. And
like it says on the cup.
Right. Move to Moscow. You guys are doing it right here on the cup. The shirts, everything's there. I want you to pitch them and close the deal for them.
Whew. Why did you do that, baby?
That's the only question that you pushed on. Hey, babe.
Well, I think exactly what Pastor Sumter said about the long-term vision. It's where do you want to plant your family to grow for generations? We've found that the culture of hospitality, the culture of entrepreneurship, the culture of mentoring each other in business and in life and in marriage, we've just benefited greatly from that, especially not coming from a foundation of having a lot of solid teaching on Christian family and the way to raise up your children. And so all of those things, in addition to Idaho being a great state, in addition to Moscow being the #1 place to raise a family, voted.
Don't say that.
No,
don't say that stat. I don't want people to know that stat.
They're coming right to story.
He just said to pitch it.
I know.
You're doing just fine. Fine.
Yeah.
I will warn you, there's a little bit of the Idaho's closed mentality with the locals there.
Who come from California.
Or Texas.
But I think, if you have something to contribute and you want to learn from others, I think there's no other better place to be than Moscow. It's not easy. It feels very different for a lot of people that move here. There's an adjustment period, but I think if you're ready to jump in and you're ready to give of yourself to, you can be a part of really helping this community flourish. And we've been very thankful and blessed that the Lord chose to plant us here. So
come join us.
StoryRealestate.com. StoryRealestate.com. That's where you need to go.
Yeah.
Right here in Moscow. See what I did there? If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until Sunday, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politics. Hey, thank you guys for joining
Thanks
us.
for having us.
thank you.
guys.
Thanks so much.
This is where Dave and I plan this year's company holidays.
Let's go through the list.
Easter,
Too religious.
St. Patrick's Day?
Too white.
Mother's Day.
Way too cisgendered.
All of your usual holidays have been canceled this year.
But we still have Karl Marx's birthday! Ha ha!
Need a real reason to party? Find a new job at redballoon.work.